Picture two people, same job, same salary, same city, same rent. One of them is building genuine wealth. The other one is 3 days away from overdraft every single month. And the difference between them has nothing to do with income and everything to do with 5 budget hacks that most people will never learn because nobody profits from teaching them to you. Let me introduce you to Sarah and James. Both make $68,000 a year. Both live in Denver. Both graduated college the same year. Sarah has $89,000 in net worth, a fully funded emergency fund, and hasn't felt genuine money stress in 4 years. James has $1,200 in savings, $6,300 in credit card debt he's been carrying for 18 months, and does mental math during conversations to figure out if he can afford to split the dinner check. Same income, completely different financial realities. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly which systems separate them and which one you're currently becoming. My name is Nick, and today we're breaking down the essential budget hacks that actually move the needle, not the advice that sounds good in a seminar. The systems that produce measurable results in 30 days or less. No complicated spreadsheets with conditional formatting. No restrict yourself until you hate your life nonsense. Just the actual hacks, the psychology behind why they work, and the implementation steps that make them permanent. Let's go. Hack 1: the anti-budget budget. Build a spending system that requires zero tracking. Here's what happens with traditional budgets. You create categories, you assign dollar amounts, you track every purchase. You feel virtuous for approximately 9 days. Then you forget to log one coffee, the system feels broken, you abandon it entirely, and you tell yourself you'll start fresh next month. Next month comes, same cycle. This isn't failure. This is what happens when the system demands more energy than humans can sustainably provide. Research from US Bank found that only 41% of Americans use a budget. And of those who start budgeting apps, 80% abandon them within the first 3 months. The problem isn't discipline. It's architecture. Complex systems fail because they have too many points of friction. Every purchase that needs categorizing is a decision. Every decision depletes willpower. Eventually, you run out. So here's the anti-budget budget, a system that works automatically whether you're paying attention or not. You need exactly 3 accounts. Account 1, the vault. This is a high-yield savings account at a completely different bank from your checking account. No debit card, no checks. Accessing this money requires deliberate effort, a transfer that takes 2 business days. This is where your emergency fund lives, and it is not for opportunities or sales or gaps between paychecks. It's for genuine emergencies only. Account 2, the operating account. This is your main checking account where your paycheck lands, but here's the critical part. The moment your paycheck hits, an automatic transfer fires. 20% minimum goes immediately to investments. Another 10% goes to the vault. What's left is the only money that exists for spending. You don't budget the spending account, you just spend it. Everything in there is already approved because the important money left before you ever saw it. Account 3, the investment account. This is a brokerage or retirement account with automatic contributions. You set the percentage once. It pulls every paycheck. You never think about it again. The entire system runs on one principle. Pay yourself first, automate the transfer, and live on what remains. There's no tracking required because the money you're allowed to spend is the only money you can see. Sarah set this up 6 years ago. Takes her 4 minutes a month to glance at the balances. That's it. James has tried 7 budgeting apps, abandoned all of them, and still has no idea where his money goes. The difference isn't effort. It's system design. Build architecture that works when you're tired, distracted, or not thinking about money at all. That's the only kind that lasts. Hack 2, the 4-account paycheck split. Automate your financial priorities before willpower gets involved. Most people handle their paycheck like this. It lands in checking, they pay some bills, they buy some stuff, they hope there's something left over to save. There never is. This is not a math problem, it's a sequence problem. When savings comes last, it gets whatever remains, which is usually nothing. When savings comes first, spending adjusts. It always adjusts. Here's the 4-account paycheck split that removes all decision-making from the process. The second your paycheck deposits, 4 automatic transfers fire simultaneously. Transfer 1, 15% to retirement account. Non-negotiable. This is the money that buys your freedom 30 years from now. Transfer 2, 10% to emergency fund until you hit 6 months of expenses, then redirect this to investments. Transfer 3, 5% to a sinking fund for known irregular expenses. Car insurance, annual subscriptions, holiday gifts, anything that comes once or twice a year but always catches people off guard. Transfer 4, everything else stays in checking for monthly expenses. Rent, groceries, utilities, life. The beauty of this system is that it's completely invisible. You set it once. It runs forever. You never have to decide to save money. You never have to resist spending money that's earmarked for savings. The decision was made before the money ever reached your hands. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler won a Nobel Prize partly for understanding this exact concept. He called it mental accounting. People treat money differently based on where it lives. Money in your checking account feels spendable. Money in a retirement account feels untouchable. It's the same dollars, but the context changes the behavior. The 4-account split weaponizes this quirk in your favor. James has his entire paycheck land in one account and tries to manually allocate it every month. He fails every month, not because he's undisciplined, because he's human. Sarah's paycheck splits automatically before she's even awake. She couldn't mess this up if she tried. Same income, different infrastructure. Infrastructure wins every time. Hack 3. The happiness audit. Identify which expenses actually produce joy and eliminate everything else. Here's an exercise most people never do. Pull up your last 3 months of bank statements. Go through every discretionary purchase, not bills, the stuff you chose, and for each one rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. How much lasting satisfaction did this actually produce? Be honest. That $45 DoorDash order you barely remember, probably a 3. The $200 concert ticket you're still talking about, solid 9. The $89 jacket you wore twice, maybe a 4. Now add up everything you spent that scored below a 6. For most people, that number is somewhere between 30% and 50% of their total discretionary spending. You're spending thousands of dollars a year on things that produce almost no happiness. Not because you're bad at spending, because you've never audited what actually works. There's a concept in psychology called hedonic adaptation. You adapt to new pleasures quickly. The thing that felt exciting on Tuesday feels normal by Friday, which means most purchases produce a brief spike of satisfaction and then nothing. But some purchases, the ones aligned with your actual values, produce sustained satisfaction over time. The happiness audit identifies which is which. Sarah ran this audit 2 years ago. Discovered she was spending $340 a month on clothes she barely wore but only $60 a month on hobbies she genuinely loved. She flipped the ratio. Same total spending, radically different satisfaction. James has never run the audit. He just buys things, feels vaguely unsatisfied, buys more things. The cycle continues. Here's how to run it. 3 months of statements. Every discretionary purchase gets a happiness score 1 to 10. Calculate your happiness ROI, total satisfaction divided by total dollars spent. Then reallocate ruthlessly. Spend more on the 8s and 9s. Eliminate everything below a 6. You're not cutting your budget. You're optimizing it for actual joy instead of the illusion of it. The goal is not to spend less. The goal is to spend only on things that produce lasting value and stop funding the stuff that produces nothing. Most people never make this distinction. They just spend and wonder why more money never makes them happier. It's because they're buying the wrong things. Hack 4. The zero-based month. Prove to yourself what you actually need. Here's a challenge that will change how you see your spending permanently. Pick 1 month, any month, and for those 30 days, spend money only on absolute necessities. Rent, utilities, groceries you cook yourself, transportation to work, and nothing else. No restaurants, no shopping, no subscriptions you can pause. No entertainment that costs money, just the irreducible minimum required to survive and work. This is not a lifestyle. This is a diagnostic. You're not doing this forever. You're doing it once to establish a baseline, because most people have no idea what they actually need versus what they've just gotten used to having. The zero-based month answers that question with precision. What you'll discover is uncomfortable and liberating in equal measure. Your actual survival number, the amount required to keep your life functioning, is probably 40% to 60% lower than what you currently spend. Everything above that line is optional. Not bad, not wrong, just optional. And knowing that number changes everything. Sarah did a zero-based month in 2021. Her normal spending was around $3,800 a month. Her survival number turned out to be $2,100. That $1,700 gap was all discretionary. Some of it brought genuine value. A lot of it was just habitual. She kept the valuable stuff, cut the habitual stuff, and her spending dropped to $2,900 a month without feeling deprived. That $900 a month redirected to investments compounds to over $400,000 over 25 years. James has never tried this. The idea makes him uncomfortable because he suspects the number would be confronting. So he never looks. And because he never looks, he never knows where the leverage is. The zero-based month isn't about living on the minimum forever. It's about knowing where the minimum is so you can make informed decisions about everything above it. Here's the protocol. Pick a month, spend only on necessities, track the total, that's your baseline. Everything you currently spend above that number is a choice. Some choices are worth it, many aren't, but you can't optimize choices you haven't identified. The zero-based month makes them all visible. Hack 5. The debt cascade protocol. Eliminate debt faster than the minimum payment plan ever will. If you're carrying any kind of revolving debt, credit cards, personal loans, payment plans, you are paying an invisible tax on every dollar you spend. Interest is the price of impatience. And for most people, it's the single biggest obstacle between them and financial stability. Here's what most people do. They pay the minimum on everything, which is mathematically designed to keep you in debt as long as possible while extracting maximum interest. The credit card company isn't hoping you pay it off. They're hoping you pay the minimum forever. That's the business model. The debt cascade protocol breaks that model. Here's how it works. List every debt you have. Balance, interest rate, minimum payment. Keep paying the minimum on everything except one. Find the debt with the smallest balance regardless of interest rate. Every extra dollar you can find goes to that one debt until it's completely gone. The moment that debt hits zero, take the entire payment you were making on it and add it to the minimum payment of the next smallest debt. Now you're paying significantly more than the minimum on debt number 2. When that one dies, roll the total payment to debt number 3. The payment gets bigger with each debt you eliminate. By the time you get to the last debt, you're hitting it with a payment 4 or 5 times larger than the original minimum. This is called the debt snowball method, popularized by Dave Ramsey. And while some financial experts argue you should target the highest interest rate first, the math on that behavioral research shows that small wins produce momentum. Paying off one debt completely feels like progress. Progress produces motivation. Motivation sustains behavior. The person who pays off 3 small debts in 6 months is more likely to keep going than the person mathematically optimizing interest rates but seeing no accounts hit zero. James has $6,300 in credit card debt spread across 3 cards. He's been paying minimums for 18 months. At his current rate, he'll be debt-free in 7 years and will have paid $3,400 in interest. If he ran the debt cascade, redirected $400 a month to the smallest balance, he'd be debt-free in 18 months and pay $890 in interest. Same income, different system, $2,500 saved and 5.5 years of freedom reclaimed. Sarah had $8,200 in student loans when she started, ran the cascade, cleared it in 22 months, hasn't paid $1 of interest since 2020. The difference isn't income, it's intentionality. Debt doesn't disappear because you ignore it. It disappears because you systematically dismantle it with a plan that's stronger than the minimum payment trap. Here's the action step. List your debts smallest to largest. Pay minimums on everything except the smallest. Throw every extra dollar at the smallest until it's gone. Roll the payment to the next one. Repeat until you're free. The math is simple. The psychology is powerful. And the result is permanent. Let me bring this full circle. Sarah and James earn the exact same salary. They live in the same city. They have access to the same opportunities. The gap between them, $89,000 in net worth versus $1,200 in savings and $6,300 in debt, exists because Sarah implemented 5 systems that James has never heard of. She built an anti-budget budget that requires zero tracking. She automated her paycheck split so saving happens before spending. She ran the happiness audit and reallocated spending toward things that actually produce joy. She did a zero-based month to establish her baseline, and she eliminated debt with the Cascade protocol while James kept paying minimums. None of these hacks are complicated. None require a finance degree. They require one decision followed by automation. The decision happens once. The automation runs forever. And the gap between someone who implements these systems and someone who doesn't compounds every single month for the rest of their lives. Here's the part that nobody puts on a motivational poster. Financial stability is boring. It doesn't look impressive from the outside. Sarah's life probably looks less exciting than James' life. She's not posting luxury purchases. She's not upgrading constantly. She's just quietly building a foundation that makes every future version of her life easier. James looks more successful. Better apartment, newer stuff, more visible consumption. But internally he's 3 bad weeks away from a financial crisis at all times. The stress is constant. The anxiety is background noise that never fully stops. That's not success, that's performance. The choice between these 2 paths is not a one-time decision. It's a system you build once and trust forever. Sarah built hers at 24. She's 30 now. The system has been running automatically for 6 years. James is still trying to get started, still telling himself next month will be different. Next month never is. If you take one thing from this video, take this. Your income is not the problem. Your systems are. You can outturn bad systems for a while, but eventually the leak catches up. Or you can build systems that work regardless of income and watch the gap close faster than you thought possible. Start with one hack. Whichever one made you uncomfortable, that's the one. Set up the 3-account structure this week. Automate the paycheck split today. Run the happiness audit this weekend. Do the zero-based month starting the 1st of next month. Launch the debt cascade tomorrow. Pick one, implement it completely, let it run for 90 days, then come back and add the next one. You don't need all 5 at once. You need one working system that's better than no system. And once you see it work, you'll build the next one, then the next one. Sarah is going to keep compounding quietly. James is going to keep wondering why his salary never feels like enough. The only question this video can't answer is which one you decide to be. That part is entirely on you.